Listen.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Now, sometimes people say, well, you mean everything that I understand will confuse me if I don't understand racism? Yes, because racism is the dominant political and religious motivating force among the people of the planet in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. That covers just about everything that any person, minute by minute, might be doing or engaged in any time of day or night, anywhere on the planet.
I understand that. It just seems to me like, how can you continue a battle that nothing, that you had nothing to do with? And, like you said, if it's been started like when my buddy Josh's grandparents, it happened to them. But like I said, to my best knowledge, it never happened to us. We grew up in the same place. We hung around the exact same people. We weren't treated any different than the white kids. And I just have a hard time with it now when I go home and see him, that now all of a sudden he's I don't even have a words, but
he's what? What is it he's doing? He's saying something about racism?
Yeah, and it's he's been, it's been in his family for years, and so now he's got an attitude even against some of the guys we hung out with when we were little, and he just brings it up, and it's, like I said, until we were 17, 18 years old, it never happened to us, but he's making it sound like he's got to, take over a fight that maybe his grandparents, had a long time ago.
Okay, well, let's look at your associate, Josh. Could it be that what he's saying, he's not making it up, and he's not talking about the past? Could it be possible that he's talking about something he's looking at right now, and that what he is saying is that he sees it, but that you don't? Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Well, see, that could be the case. Now, it could be, like you said, that he's making it up, but I don't think he's making it up, because I see it too. And I've always seen it. I've never been in a situation where I didn't see it. Now, if I was looking for it and it wasn't there, then that's something different. And I've heard people say that, saying, well, I'm looking at the same thing that you're looking at, but I don't see what you see. And I say, yes, I know. That's the treachery of the way racism works. And sometimes you can be looking at it, and I have this in the book that I wrote. In racial matters, many look, but few see. See what? See what they're looking at. You're looking at it, but you don't see it. Like an optical illusion.
But if you're constantly looking for it, then, that's like they say.
No, but you can only see it if it's there. Otherwise, you are making it up, in which case nobody should do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you're telling me just a second ago that you look for it. Well, if you're looking to see if something is racist, you're constantly, you got blinders on. You're looking for it, and you'll take any little, section of conflict or whatever and say, oh, that's racism. That's not because of, his bad attendance. That's racism. Because that's what you're looking for, is what it sounds like.
But see, the thing that I claim, that when I do look for it, I see it. Because it is there. But it's not supposed to be there. That's the key. It's not supposed to be there.
But you're looking.
No matter how hard I look, I'm not supposed to ever find it. Because it's not supposed to be there. Racism should not exist. That's the whole point. Just like cancer should not exist. See, now I can look past cancer, I can not recognize it deliberately, or I can recognize it deliberately, but I make up my mind that I'd rather not think about it, so therefore if I don't think about it and I'm not feeling the pain directly at that moment, because I'm laughing about something, like a cancer patient has laughed, but the cancer patient still has cancer. See what I mean? So racism is the same way. Black people laugh all the time. They're the laughingest people in the world, collectively. Nobody laughs like black people. In fact, there's more jokes made about laughing black people than anything else. Even in the old days, when it was right in your face, this thing called racism, black people laughed more then than they do now. Black people were the biggest jokesters because they were trying to hide the pain. That's why. But over a period of years, they laughed less and less as the pain began to go away because they were laughing at the pain. They were trying to laugh off the pain. And now a lot of us try to put on the blinders to not see what is causing a world problem. Now, a person can look at President Obama and say, he doesn't really have a problem, like President Obama said himself, said, I'm trying to get health care for the people that don't have it. See, I have health care. Me and my whole family. I will never have to worry about health care. I will get top-of-the-line health care. I already know that. He said, I'm trying to get it for the people that don't have it. He said, so if you're talking about me individually, he said, yes, I got health care, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not supposed to be concerned about other people not having it. See what I mean? So racism is the same way. There are some people who say, well, I've been able to skirt it, and I've been able to get by, and I've been able to do this. In the neighborhood that I was brought up in, I was able to shield myself from it. But see, the fact that you shield yourself from it means that it's there. And it shouldn't be there for you to shield yourself from it. I mean, that's the whole purpose, because when you try to move away, just like in the case of your friend Josh, when you try to reconnect with him, he's been hit by it, full force, and his behavior shows it. And that saddens you, but that's a fact. And the reason it's a fact is because he ran into it when he just moved just a little bit, and it hit him full force. Really, it had him full force all the time, and that's when it's really painful.
So are you saying that you have never been mistreated because you're not white?
Not that I know of. I mean, I've had things with, many people, and, I mean, granted, there's always some bonehead, but that, whether he's black or white, it doesn't matter to me. I've come across, boneheads, but I find myself finding more of my own, quote, brothers that would do me wrong more so than the white guys that I hang out with.
And I can see why that would be, because that's the effect that racism has. The very fact that when you interact with black people, they are hostile toward you, or they mistreat you, and they you don't get the kind of reaction that you should get from people when those people are black. And there's a reason for that. They've been affected by racism to the extent that nobody would want to be around them. And that makes sense, because the system of racism itself produces black people that nobody wants to be around, including other black people. That is the effect of racism itself. That's not just something that happened because black people have this peculiarity about them that makes them into monsters and monstrosities. No, that's a system that does that. So black people, by the nature of being under the system of white supremacy, are made into creatures that nobody wants to be around, including the black people themselves. They don't want to be around each other and can hardly stand themselves. But since you got to be with yourself, there's nowhere else to go. I mean, if you are you, you're you. So what can you do? And so therefore you turn that outwardly, because there's nowhere else but to turn it inwardly, in which case you would be suicidal all the time, which is what black people really are. But we just don't go that extra step. Black people are very suicidal because black people cannot stand themselves. They can't stand other black people, and they can't stand themselves. Because when they look at other black people, they see themselves. And they can't stand what they see. Because we have already been made into creatures that are unworthy of being around anything. But the system did that. We weren't born like that. We were all born as little wide-eyed, curious children. But we were turned into monsters and monstrosities. I myself am a monstrosity. The very fact that I'm having this conversation in 2009 proves that I'm a monstrosity. What's a monstrosity? A monstrosity is a creature that is out of sync, out of balance. A person who is in the midst of a whole bunch of problems that can't be solved or apparently aren't being solved. That's a monstrosity. I'm one.
Unfortunately, me too, as long as the system of white supremacy exists.
Economics means that the use of time and energy. And the racists, when they looked around at the people that they classified as non-white, they decided, well, one thing, we will have domination over the way that they use their time and energy. And all of these areas of activity are interrelated. Economics is interrelated with education. Education is interrelated with entertainment. Entertainment is interrelated with labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war. All of these 9 areas are interactive. So, if you're a white supremacist, in order to really be supreme, you have to get control over everything that people do in all of these 9 areas if these people are classified as non-white. And of course, being a supremacist, the supremacist always does the classifying, not the victims. The victims cannot classify themselves without the approval of the white supremacists.